The golden hour was painting the bustling Times Square in hues of amber and crimson when Sarah Mitchell first heard the soft whimpering that would change her evening and, quite possibly, her entire perspective on humanity. She had just finished a grueling 12-hour shift as a pediatric nurse at Mount Sinai, her designer heels clicking against the concrete as she navigated through the sea of tourists and street performers desperate to catch the 7:30 p.m. train home to her quiet apartment in Brooklyn. Sarah wasn't just any nurse. At 28, she had already earned recognition as one of the hospital's most compassionate caregivers, often staying late to comfort frightened children and their families. Her colleagues often joked that she had a sixth sense when it came to understanding what children needed, even when they couldn't articulate it themselves. Tonight, that intuition would prove more valuable than any medical degree. The sound came again, a quiet, heartbreaking sob that somehow cut through the cacophony of honking taxis, street musicians, and chattering crowds. Sarah's trained ears immediately recognized it as the cry of a child in distress. She stopped mid-stride, her emerald eyes scanning the crowd until she spotted him. A small boy, no more than 5 years old, standing alone near the iconic red steps of the TKTS booth. His tiny frame was dwarfed by the towering advertisements and endless stream of people rushing past him as if he were invisible. The child was impeccably dressed in a navy blue blazer, crisp white shirt, and matching shorts, a kind of expensive outfit that suggested he came from a well-to-do family. His dark hair was neatly combed, but his face was streaked with tears, and his big brown eyes held a terror that made Sarah's heart clench. She recognized that look. She'd seen it countless times in the pediatric ward, the expression of a child who felt utterly alone in an overwhelming world. Without hesitation, Sarah made her way through the crowd, her nursing instincts overriding her exhaustion. As she approached, she noticed the boy clutching a small stuffed elephant, its gray fabric worn smooth from countless hugs. The sight of this security item told her everything she needed to know about his emotional state. "Hey there, sweetheart," Sarah said softly, crouching down to his eye level, careful to maintain a non-threatening distance. Years of working with traumatized children had taught her the importance of approach and body language. "I'm Sarah. What's your name?" The boy looked up at her with tear-filled eyes, his lower lip trembling. I'm Marcus," he whispered, his voice barely audible above the city noise. "I can't find my mommy and daddy. They were right here, and then they were gone." Sarah's heart broke a little more. She glanced around, noting how easy it would be for a small child to lose sight of his parents in this chaos. The evening rush was in full swing, and the square was packed with thousands of people, each absorbed in their own urgent destinations. "Okay, Marcus, you're very brave for telling me your name," Sarah said, her voice carrying the same gentle authority she used with her young patients. "I'm a nurse, which means my job is to help people, especially kids like you. We're going to find your mommy and daddy together, okay?" She pulled out her phone, immediately calling 911 to report a lost child. While she waited for the operator, she kept talking to Marcus in soothing tones, learning that he was from Connecticut, visiting the city with his parents for his birthday. They had come to see a Broadway show, his first ever, and had stopped at Times Square for dinner afterward. "My daddy said we were going to see the lights," Marcus sniffled. "He lifted me up so I could see better, but then he put me down and I turned around and they were gone. I waited where he told me to always wait if I get lost, but they didn't come back." The wisdom of that instruction struck Sarah. This child had been taught what to do if separated from his parents, which suggested loving, responsible caregivers who were likely frantically searching for him right now. Officer Maria Rodriguez arrived within minutes, her kind demeanor immediately putting Marcus at ease. Sarah explained the situation while Marcus clung to her hand, having instinctively trusted this gentle stranger who had stopped when everyone else rushed by. "We get calls like this several times a week," Officer Rodriguez explained to Sarah. "Usually, the parents aren't far. Let's start by checking with the NYPD booth here, then expand our search. As they began their systematic search, Sarah never let go of Marcus's hand. She talked to him about his stuffed elephant, Mr. Peanuts, his favorite ice cream flavor, chocolate chip cookie dough, and his upcoming start of kindergarten. With each shared detail, she watched his panic gradually subside, replaced by a tentative hope. The search led them through the labyrinthine corridors of the Times Square subway station, where transit police joined their efforts. Sarah's nursing training proved invaluable as she monitored Marcus for signs of dehydration and exhaustion. Producing a granola bar from her purse when she noticed his energy flagging. "Are you an angel?" Marcus asked suddenly, looking up at Sarah with wide, innocent eyes as they sat on a bench while officers coordinated the expanded search. The question caught Sarah off guard. "No, sweetie. I'm just a person who wanted to help. My grandma says angels come when you really need them," Marcus continued with the profound simplicity that only children possess. "And you came when I really needed someone." 45 minutes into their search, Officer Rodriguez's radio crackled with news that made everyone's hearts leap. A frantic couple matching the description of Marcus's parents had been found 6 blocks away, working with police to coordinate their own desperate search. The reunion, when it came, was nothing short of magical. Marcus's parents, Jennifer and David Wellington, came running the moment they spotted their son. The sophisticated couple, he in an expensive suit, she in an elegant black dress, looked as if they had aged years in the hour their son had been missing. "Marcus!" Jennifer cried, falling to her knees as her son ran into her arms. "Oh, my baby, we were so scared." David wrapped both his wife and son in his arms, tears streaming down his face. "We turned around for just a second to take a picture, and when we looked back, ... double quotes, his voice broke. Through their tears and gratitude, the Wellingtons learned about Sarah's role in their reunion. Jennifer, herself a successful attorney, was overwhelmed by the kindness of this stranger, who had sacrificed her evening to help their son. "How can we ever repay you?" David asked, his voice thick with emotion. "You gave us our son back. You gave us everything." Sarah smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the evening's lingering heat. "Seeing him safe with you is all the payment I need." Any parent would have done the same. But Jennifer shook her head. No, not everyone would have stopped. Not everyone would have cared. She pulled out a business card and pressed it into Sarah's hand. "Our family has a foundation that supports children's causes. I want you to be part of something bigger." As they prepared to part ways, Marcus ran back to Sarah one more time. "Thank you for helping me find my family," he said solemnly. Then added with a gap-toothed grin, "You really are an angel." 3 months later, Sarah received a call that would change her career trajectory forever. The Wellington Foundation wanted to fund a specialized program for training first responders and community members in child crisis intervention, with Sarah as the program director. The initiative, which they named Marcus's Angels, in honor of that fateful evening, would go on to train thousands of people across the country in recognizing and responding to children in crisis. But perhaps the most beautiful part of this story isn't the foundation or the lives it would touch. It's the reminder that in a world that often feels too busy, too disconnected, and too cynical, there are still people willing to stop, to care, and to act with kindness when it matters most. Sarah's simple decision to pay attention to a crying child created ripples of goodness that extended far beyond that single evening in Times Square. It reminded everyone involved, from the police officers to the passersby, who witnessed the reunion, that heroism doesn't require superpowers. Sometimes it just requires the willingness to pause, to listen, and to care about the welfare of another human being. Today, Sarah still works as a pediatric nurse. But now she also travels the country sharing Marcus's story and training others to be everyday heroes. And somewhere in Connecticut, a little boy who is no longer quite so little still tells people about the angel who helped him find his way home on the scariest night of his young life. The lesson is beautifully simple, yet profound. In a world full of strangers, sometimes the greatest gift we can offer is to stop being strangers to each other, if only for a moment when it matters most. Like and subscribe for more videos.